All right, this video is in relation to the first video that I did that actually shows how you control this thing so that you can see what you need to see to set your gains. Right after I dropped that video, guy named Jared Brennan chimed in and said, hey, you should do another video showing how to use this to detect your cleanest head unit signal before going into the amp. And that is a good point. So this video is from Michael Combs. He's the guy that originally reached out to me asking me how you actually use this thing. He's got one. I think he said he's wanting to put a couple of amplifiers on a motorcycle. I'm assuming a mids and highs amp and a subwoofer amp. I could be wrong about that. But yes, the first thing that should happen would be to check the clean signal coming from the head unit or DSP, EQ, whatever. The last thing before it goes into your amplifier, you want to make sure that signal is clean. And by the way, since we're talking about that, here's how I'm hooked on to these. There's the other end of that. I've just got this little wire. But the outside here is the negative, and then the little post is the positive. You could clip right onto these as well if you didn't have some sort of adapter. Just do a good job of clipping them on there and try your best to not let them touch. Maybe use some tape or something like that. But again, this works the same at 40 hertz as it does at 1K. So Michael, you should do this first and make sure that both of your signals right before you go into the amplifier is clean and you know what that max volume is. Also, you'll always want to do this on a sine wave, just a constant tone, whether it be at 40 hertz or 1K, it's just a constant tone. If you try to do this on music, oh man, that thing's going to be all over the place. You'll never be able to make heads or tails out of it. So it's got to be a constant sine wave. The industry standard is 40 hertz on a subwoofer amp and 1 kilohertz or 1K on a mids and highs amp. But this is 40 here to start with. Let's unpause the track. And then, as usual, I usually like to try to set the horizontal first, which is the second button here, this milliseconds. Let's get that. You want to get it where it stopped. It's too tall there on the vertical. So let's go over here to the volts and let's get it into the proper range. Think about this over here. That's 10 millivolts, 5 millivolts. Think of that as the same. I'm going the wrong way. As a multimeter that has, the different settings for, up to 10 volts, up to 20 volts, up to 30 volts, ranging. That's what I'm trying to say. A lot of them will auto range nowadays, but let's get this to how we like it. You can go there or there. Both of those are pretty useful. And then I'm already at my max. This head unit goes to 35, and 35 right there is not a clean signal. That's enough to set off the DD1. If you can see that funny little, let me go back to 34 and show you guys the difference. There's 34, that's clean. And the DD1 also confirms that that's clean. But when I go right here, it shows distortion on the DD1. Even though that's not nice and perfect down there, it's not actually clipped just yet, but it is enough to set off the DD1. So I always use 34 when I'm doing my amp dynos. And I do that whether I'm doing 1K, a mids and highs amp, or 40 hertz on a subwoofer amp. So let's go back to 34. But that's how you would do that. You'd still use these two buttons to control the vertical and the horizontal to get that looking the way you want. Sometimes, yeah, I like it when it's there, and sometimes I like to use it when it's there. Let's see what that one looks like. Yeah, see, that one kind of shows even a little bit better. That's just a funky looking wave. But that's it. That's how you would use this to find your max clean volume before your amplifier. And then when you're testing the setting the gain on the amplifier, then you hook these to the speaker outs coming out of the amplifier. So Michael, make sure you got a good clean signal. He's wanting that motorcycle to sound good, and I don't blame him. Make sure you got a good clean signal going into the amp and a good clean signal coming out of the amp. All the gains adjusted accordingly, and that thing's going to sound amazing. So anyhow, guys, that's it. If y'all have any other questions, chime in. I don't know all the answers. Jason WW2000, he already answered this question, but I thought I would show it. But Jared's, he's a good guy. He's one of those, he comments a lot on all of our channels, and he knows some of the techie stuff, and thank God for people like that. I don't know all the techie stuff, but thanks to Jason as well. But anyhow, guys, chime in, leave comments, suggestions, whatever, and thanks again. We'll see you next time.